Have you ever tried to just trust God with your anxiety? And then you found out a couple minutes later you still felt anxious. That's not you failing at faith. It's not you failing in this at all. It's a reality. Nobody really just told us what trusting God with our anxiety looks like. Anxiety is relentless. I know it is for me, and it's kind of always working. It races around. It fills our head with these worst case scenarios. And if you're like me, you found yourself at some point just going, all right, God, you got this. And then you move forward for about 5-10 minutes, and then it creeps back in a little bit. That's not a failure of our faith. It's really, again, like I mentioned, nobody really told us the mechanics of what this is supposed to look like, how, trusting in God. I think, again, a lot of us think that, when we place our trust in God, automatically his response is going to be, all right, Steve, move forward, fear no more. It doesn't typically work like that. There are occasions where it does. There are occasions where, in my prayer in a situation, he does just lift it from me in that moment and allows me to move on. But the reality is that in some other point in my life, it comes back. It's just something that, I work through. So it is week 2 of Health. So thank you for joining us. If it's your first time, thank you for being with us. And if you were with us last week, welcome back. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The theme for this week is faith over anxiety. What we're really going to focus on here isn't that faith means our anxiety disappears. It's knowing where we're bringing it. The expectation here is not that we're going to stop feeling anxious, right? That through our prayers and through our meditations, when we go through the week, when we start doing our Lectio Divina, it's not like a cure-all, right? It's not just like, all right, because we invited God and we have faith, this anxiety that we have is going to disappear. It's how our relationship with God helps us battle it. It helps us, in certain terms, accept it, I think. And I don't mean accept it in like, hey, this is my lot in life. I'm just going to go through, anxious and depressed, like Eeyore, right? Oh boy, woe is me. No, just accept that there are going to be moments in our lives that we're going to have heightened anxiety. There are going to be areas in our lives where we're just going to have to really invite God to walk that walk with us. One of the things that I do want to touch on, this week as we're entering into this theme is to really talk a little bit about what anxiety is. It really is. It's future tense, right? When we're anxious about something, when we have worry and fears, a lot of that is what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen if I do this? What's going to happen if? And it typically, for me, it's always fills me with a little bit of a worst case scenario. And so the spiritual problem that we walk into there is that when we feel anxious is that a lot of times, and I know this happened to me in the past, and I'm sure it'll happen to me in the future, is I fall into this trap of thinking that I'm walking this walk alone. Again, we talked about in one of our earlier episodes, one of my earlier videos, about how fear and anxiety is absolutely a weapon of the devil to isolate us and to make us feel alone. So it's really important that while we're walking this walk, we realize that we are not alone in it. And God is always in it with us. Even at our worst moments, he's always there with us. And so that's kind of, as we're going into this, just, you're never walking this alone. And the other thing is, when we're starting to feel that anxiety, right? We want to kind of catch it before it starts spiraling. That's what a lot of the scriptures are this week. The 3 Lectio Divinas that we're going to focus on this week, we're really going to talk about, getting into that anxiety before it spirals. Get it where it's small, right? Don't push it away. Don't shame yourself, but bring it to God, bring it to the Lord before it takes over, before it becomes overbearing. And the other thing I really want to focus on, I really want everybody to remember, because I felt this way a lot. I did throughout my journey. I felt like shame, not only by like this sense of being alone in this battle. Definitely felt a sense of shame, like I shouldn't be feeling this way. Why does this always happen? Yeah, that feeling of shame is one that it's quiet. And it's probably one of the things that led me to drink when I was drinking, right? So it led me to kind of And we talked about it also in another episode, is how fear and anxiety, it doesn't travel alone. It brings in that shame. It brings in that self-loathing. And so we want to make sure that when we're feeling that, we just want to, just remember, you don't have to earn the right to bring these feelings to God, right? You don't have to earn Jesus died on the cross for us. That right has been earned for us, whether we think we're worthy of it or not. So just bring it to God. Don't worry about it. He wants us to bring it, right? It doesn't matter how we bring it. It doesn't matter if you bring it in perfect prayer or anything like that. What matters is that you engage Christ in the conversation. And that's what's important. That's what we're going to really be kind of focusing on today, really, is to not feeling alone. Don't wait for it to spiral, and realize, there's no shame in it, really. Just bring it to the Lord. Ask for his help, and he will. He will. So this week we're going to be, again, like we have in the past, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to release the Lectio Divina episodes. And if you're not familiar with that, if that is your first time coming to the channel, which probably is going to be a lot of you guys, go back and when you get a chance and watch my video on Lectio Divina if you're not familiar with it. And it'll kind of explain to you what those 3 episodes are going to look like. But on Monday, we're going to jump into Philippians 4, verse 6 through 7, where Paul's letter to the Philippians. And, Paul gives very good instructions on what to do with your anxiety. And then on Wednesday, we're going to do a reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verses 22 through 26, where we'll hear the words of Jesus, and he'll do so in a slightly humorous way to really ask why we worry about things, right? And then on Friday, we'll close out the week with Psalm 56, verses through 4, and David saying out loud, "Be not afraid that he's not afraid," or when he is afraid. Get the Psalms all mixed up. The Psalms are a little bit of a sidetrack here, but the Psalms are just, they're great reading in times of turmoil. Many of the Psalms written by King David really focused on trying times, when things were very difficult for him, when he was nervous, when he was scared, and how he just welcomed the Lord into those moments. So as a bit of a sidebar, aside from what we're doing here, if you ever just want to jump into the Psalms, like I said, it's what a great resource that is. And as always, again, being week 2, this is going to be fairly newer for everybody, but what we will do is each day we'll have a daily practice. So for this week, the practice is when anxiety starts to surface, if that's something that's going on with you right now, right? Don't fight it and don't follow it, right? Don't just let it bring you down this path. When it starts to creep up in those moments, just pause just for a breath or two and just pray. Jesus, I trust you with this. And that's the whole prayer. Say it. And if this week's a quiet week for you and those situations don't arise, find a time in the morning or in the evening before you go to bed and just name something that's on your mind. Just name something that maybe you're concerned about. You're not overly super anxious about it, but it's just something that's on your mind, something that you got running through, and just give it to Christ. Just give it to him and just pray, Jesus, I trust in you with this. All right. Thank you very much. Look forward to speaking to you guys again. Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week will be the Lectio Divina episodes. Please do me a favor. If you're interested in those, subscribe, and then you'll get the notifications when those come up. So, all right. Thank you very much. God bless.